Hi, hello, this is Clementine from Ed Books with Clementine. And today I wanted to do my quarterly wrap up. This is for the second quarter of the year 2026. So for all the books that I read from April 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2026. I will try and do the same format that I did for the first quarter of the year. So I'll put my video for quarter one in the description down below. And let's start with the yearly challenges. So last time I mentioned 2 yearly challenges that I was doing, so now I have actually a third one. So first we have the Romantasy Bingo Challenge created by Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy, and this one is just a continuation. It was starting in November 2025, and I've not made as much progress as I wanted, I think, with this one, but I think we're still on track to finish by the end of October this year. So we have now 17 prompts done, with 11 of them being hard mode. I will put the bingo challenge on the left here so you guys can see the books that I read and how much of this bingo card is actually full. Compared to last time, I have done some progress. I've actually read 5 more books, so 5 more prompts done for this. I think I am on track and I'm okay. I just need to make sure that I do read some romantasy for this, as I'm not so much in a romantasy mood. And also I need to make sure that I read other authors, because I do have some series I started that I could continue. However, they cannot count on this board as we cannot have any repeat authors. The second yearly challenge is the Our Fantasy Bingo Challenge. We had finished the 2025 board in March, so now we have a brand new board for 2026 that started on April 1st. I have actually made a lot of progress, which I usually do. With Our Fantasy, it's always easier to fill in the first prompts, and then I literally make no progress in the last like 3 months until the end, and then I realize, oh, I still have 1 or 2 prompts to fill. I have filled 15 prompts out of 25, so I only have 10 more to go. However, I only have 8 prompts that actually fit hard mode. However, for this board, I'm not aiming to hit hard mode for every one of them. I think my goal is just to get a blackout, and then if and only I have some time after I filled it, then I can figure out some of the prompts and do actually hard mode for some of the ones that I don't have. But I would say that it's a decent progress. With only 3 months, so a quarter into the challenge, I'm already more than halfway done. So yay for that one. And the last one is one I made a TBR about a few months ago, and that is Kylie Costumes Bingo Challenge created by Deb at DG Reads. I put a link in all the people I mentioned and the announcements down below, the Reddit page for the Our Fantasy Bingo Challenge if you guys ever want to join any of those challenges. You can definitely like backtrack all the books that you've read so far and just continue the challenge as you go. So for this Kylie Costumes Bingo, I made the decision to have it start May 1st. I have 9 prompts done out of 25. You can see the board here. I think it's decent progress. I do need to make more progress for sure, but I think overall for all the 3 yearly challenges that I'm doing, I'm making progress. That's good. I just need to continue reading and see whatever fits. And now that we've done with the yearly challenges, we can go into my personal challenges for the year and how much progress we made. Spoiler alert, I did really bad on those ones, but let's start. First, priority series for 2026. Here are the series that I have to read for this year. I have 5 series, and in the first quarter, I actually completed 1 of those 5 series. I made literally no progress. Not even 1 book read out of those 4 series. Because I made no progress in the second quarter for my priority series, I am only at 14% completed when I should be at 50% because we are halfway through the year. So you see the problem? So I do need to figure out something, maybe do a vlog reading just books from those priority series. Who knows? After this, we have the 26 books I need to read in 2026. Here is a graphic of all the books. I have actually made a little bit of progress, but I didn't make any conscious progress. As you can see, so I put the books I read with this caption red in green for the first quarter, and now it's in purple for the second quarter. I had read 6 books in the first quarter and only 3 in the second quarter. Also, 2 of them are just from the new releases of the year that are from favorite authors and reads that I was the most likely to pick up. And the third one is just one from my priority TBR books. It was also part of the books that I was the most excited to get. So I did get to Along the Razor's Edge for priority TBR. And for the anticipated 2026 releases, I got to We Burn So Bright by TJ Klune and Platform Decay by Martha Wells. However, I only got to 9 books out of 26, so I have definitely made not enough progress for this one, especially in terms of the TBR veterans that I haven't touched at all this quarter, and there were 6 books from series continuation, and I still haven't read any. So that is definitely my worst category. And in terms of numbers, we are only at 35% completed, which is not 50% still. So yeah, we definitely need to make some progress for this and figure out what we're doing. I have to admit, I didn't think about the series and those lists at all. The next goal I had was to reduce my physical TBR. And if you have seen one of my latest videos about a book buying ban I am putting into effect, you would know already that I had an appalling time in this quarter too. Well, appalling not really, but I still increased my physical TBR. I was at 56 physical books on April 1st, and I am now, as of July 1st, 2026, at 62 books on my physical TBR. So despite reading from my physical TBR, I bought way too many books because I have 6 more books now than I had 3 months ago, which is not what we want to do. So as I said, I'm putting myself on a book buying ban, so I will try and show you in quarter 3 how that made an impact, maybe talk about the book buying ban, how many books did I earn as I'm doing this book buying ban challenge, which I link in the description down below, and I need to read books to be able to earn enough to buy a book or buy any other type of reward. So we'll see how many I actually manage to do. If I do any punishments, I'll do a sort of small summary during this quarterly wrap up in 3 months. This next goal is about the number of series I'm reading. I wanted to make sure that I didn't really increase too much the number of series that are incomplete that I'm reading, meaning the series that I can make progress on, books are already out and I still have not read them, despite having read at least 1 book in the series. On April 1st, we were at 22 series that were incomplete. But I knew this number would go up, and it did. I am now at 31 incomplete series. Overall, compared to the number of series I am reading, which is above 100 series in total, it is pretty fine. It's still manageable, considering also that we did have at least 5 or 6 series that did have releases in April or May, because April-May is the time for new releases for books, for sure. So it makes sense that my number went up, but still, I need to pay attention to it and to see that this number actually goes back down in 3 months, meaning that I am actually reading those new releases for the year. Last for my goals, but not least, how many books did I actually read in French? Well, I did manage to read in April a decent number of books in French. I have 6 books read in French. But for those numbers, I do have to mention that 3 of them were manga for the Apothecary Diaries that I am now caught up on. 2 of them were graphic novels. This is just a 2-parter graphic novel series that I got gifted 10 years ago and I finally read. And the last book I read in French was a play. It's a classic play from Molière called Leva, The Miser. So none of them were really big books, but I still read a decent share, and I think for April that was fine. But May and June, I read 0 books in French. So yeah, that's bad. And now we can get into the nitty-gritty of the statistics for people who love stats. I will just put the table of the number of books I read per month, how many novels, graphic novel, manga, and how many DNFs per month I did. my average rating, as well as the number of pages that I read, and also the average number of pages that I read per day. April was definitely my best reading month with 17 books read, but we did have a weekend readathon, pageathon, that was created and hosted by Cassidy, Lexi, Mel, and Monica, and I will leave their channels down below and maybe one of the announcements down below, as I believe that they are gonna do probably another one of those readathons one day, as we had so much fun. So I did definitely read a lot of books during those 48 hours, and that did put my number of books read overall for the month up. In May, I read 12 books, which I think is pretty decent, especially considering that I read 11 books and only one manga. 11 novels read in a month? That is amazing. And you can definitely see in the number of pages read per day that April was, of course, an outlier with 170 something pages per day, but May was pretty decent with 130 pages per day or so. June is definitely a month a little bit going down, as I only read 9 books, and 7 of those were novels, 2 of them were manga graphic novels. The last thing I will mention for this 3 months is my average rating, because my rating was pretty okay in April and May, pretty consistent with what I had in January, February, and March. 3.7, 3.8 around average rating, which is my average rating, I would say. But I only had an average rating of 3.37 in June. And that's because I actually gave a decent number of 2.5 stars in June. That was a bad month for that. So it did tank my rating, definitely. And now we can get into the 5-star reads that I have read in the second quarter, which is definitely my favorite section, because I get to rave about some of the books that I have loved in the past 3 months. But in April, I read 2 books that were 5 stars, The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson and Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinniman. In May, I read only 1 book that was 5 stars, which is in the Dungeon Crawl Carl series, The Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook, still by Matt Dinniman. And in June, I read actually 2 books that were 5 stars, Ocean's Echo by Everina Maxwell and We Burn So Bright by TJ Klune. However, I do want to mention that Ocean's Echo was a reread for me, so it was bound to be a 5 stars since I'd read it recently. I think I read it 2 or 3 years ago only. It was bound to be a 5 stars again. So I did give less 5 stars in those past 3 months compared to last time, as I only gave 5 books 5 stars these past 3 months. But I would say it's still pretty okay. I think it's okay to have this number of 5 stars. I'm not too unhappy about it. I'm more unhappy about the number of 2 stars, for example, that I gave in June, for example. And if I had to pick the best book in the second quarter that I read, it would definitely be The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I loved this book so much. It surprised me at every single turn. I cannot wait for the sequel, and I will probably reread this book a few months or like a month before the second book comes out, since this book is so intricate in terms of the plot, the number of people that are involved, and I think I will really love seeing all the little clues that were given to me before the reveals of this book. So yeah, I'm really, really loving this one. If you haven't tried this book, I would definitely urge everyone who reads fantasy to actually try it. But I do want to put a caveat that this is very slow paced in the beginning. You do have to give it, I would say, 150 pages probably until the murder happens. And then you can see if you're really intrigued into whatever happens or not. And last, and certainly last, and the one section I'm always gutted to talk about, is my least favorite book of the second quarter. And I actually also have it on my shelves. Let me find it. Yes, I'm sad. I'm really sad. So this is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I gave The Poppy War, this first book in the series, 4.5 stars. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I was so excited to continue in this book, but I give this one 2.5 stars. And I thought about giving it 3 stars because most of it was just boring. It felt like a middle book syndrome. It felt like nothing was happening, and it felt like the author was meandering up until the ending, and then the author did some plot conveniences at the end of the book to get them to wherever she wanted them to be for the third book. And that pissed me off so much more. So I have to give it 2.5 stars. Because one, I did not enjoy my time with this book. Two, I hated the character inconsistencies in it. The plot, as I said, was just meandering. A lot of it could have been cut down. It could have been nearly a duology instead of a trilogy for me, because most of it was useless. And it made me hate the main character. I am sad about this one, definitely. And I'm actually reading the third and final book. You're gonna tell me, why did you not DNF this series? I still wanted to know where the author was going. And I was still hopeful that this book was middle book syndrome, so I still went into the third book without trying to put too many expectations. So yeah, I probably think that the third book, unfortunately, will make an appearance in quarter 3, but stay tuned for that, I guess. And with this, we are done with this wrap-up for the last 3 months of everything that I read. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite book in this past 3 months that you've read, or if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video. And if you don't have anything to say, but still want to let me know that you're here, how about we leave a raven bird emoji for The Raven Scholar, which was my favorite book that I've read in this past 3 months. And with this, I'll stop rambling, get back to reading, and I'll see you in the next one.